Every year, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration releases its list of the most cited violations. Consistently sitting at number 2 is hazard communication. For industry, failing to properly label and track hazardous chemicals results in millions of dollars in annual fines and can force immediate operational shutdowns. The United States Department of Labor, through OSHA, strictly enforces these standards under 29 CFR 1910.1200. To help audit your facility, we've built a comprehensive GHS compliance checklist. You can download it for free using the link in the description below. Fines are just the starting point. The standard is designed to prevent confusion that leads to chemical burns and reactive explosions. The difference in clarity is immediate. On the left is the pre-2012 Hazard Communication Standard, a text-heavy, unstandardized block of information. On the right is the modern system, driven by distinct red diamond pictograms. This visual upgrade represents a specific change in requirements. OSHA moved the baseline from a worker's right to know, where the data simply had to be available, to the right to understand. Workers must be able to process the risk at a glance. To achieve this, OSHA integrated its original 1994 standard with the United Nations Globally Harmonized System, or GHS, in 2012. Recently, OSHA released the 2024 HazCom updates. These refinements do not rewrite the 2012 foundation. Instead, they resolve specific physical frictions, updating hazard classifications for items like aerosols and flammable gases. This global alignment ensures a chemical shipped from Germany to Texas uses the same visual language, replacing inconsistent regional formats with a single comprehensible system. Safety relies on an unbroken flow of information. If a worker on the floor cannot instantly decode a hazard, the entire regulatory system fails. Every hazardous chemical leading a manufacturer must feature a label containing 6 standardized elements. First, the product identifier must perfectly match the safety data sheet. Sixth is the supplier identification, detailing the manufacturer's name, U.S. address, and emergency phone number. This slide defines signal words. Only 2 are permitted: danger for severe hazards and warning for less severe risks. A strict precedence rule applies. If a mixture triggers both, danger cancels out warning. Only the most severe word appears. Then we have hazard statements, which are standardized phrases used to describe the nature and degree of the risk, alongside precautionary statements, which instruct the user on how to minimize or prevent exposure. Finally, the pictograms. While the UN system uses 9 standardized symbols, OSHA only enforces 8 of them, leaving the environmental hazard pictogram optional in the United States. This primary label serves as the tactical front line. It is designed to deliver critical survival data before a worker ever breaches the container's seal. Applying all 6 of these pillars becomes physically impossible when dealing with tiny laboratory vials or small industrial components. The 2024 OSHA updates introduced an allowance for containers of 100 milliliters or less. An abbreviated label showing just the identifier, pictograms, signal word, and supplier info is permitted, provided the full 6-pillar hazard information is physically printed on the immediate outer packaging. For ultra-small containers of 3 milliliters or less, where a standard label would physically interfere with normal use, OSHA requires only the product identifier to be present on the vial itself. We'll explore how this data expands inside the safety data sheet architecture after this short break. These 2024 updates balance practical physical constraints with the uncompromising need for an unbroken chain of hazard data. While the label provides immediate surface-level warnings, the full technical and emergency profile of a chemical is housed in its Safety Data Sheet, or SDS. This framework outlines the mandatory 16-section format every SDS must follow. Sections 1 through 8 contain critical information for immediate safety, first aid, and emergency response. Sections 9 through 11 hold scientific data, while 12 through 15 cover environmental and transport regulations. Looking closely at Section 2, you will find the exact GHS classifications and pictograms. If an exposure occurs, Section 4 dictates the precise first aid response required based on the route of exposure. Section 8 is vital for daily operations. It outlines permissible exposure limits and specifies the exact thickness and material of the gloves or respirators required to handle the substance safely. As an operational rule, always cross-reference Section 9 for a chemical's flashpoint and Section 10 for incompatible materials. Storing the wrong compounds next to each other is a preventable disaster. An SDS is the ultimate source of truth for a chemical. But it is a worthless artifact if it remains buried in a binder during an active, real emergency. Manufacturers supply the labels and the data sheets, but the actual execution of hazard communication falls entirely on the employer at the facility. The foundation of this execution is maintaining an updated chemical inventory. This list must perfectly mirror every single hazardous material currently on site. OSHA dictates that safety data sheets must be immediately accessible to employees during their specific shift. Documents must be readily available when workers are in their work areas. Simply handing out a dense manual does not constitute training. Education must be delivered in a format and language that the workers actually comprehend, ensuring they know how to read labels and react to exposures. A fully compliant HazCom program rests on 3 structural pillars: compliant labels, accessible safety data sheets, and comprehensive employee training. Hazard communication is an interdependent chain. Safety happens when accurate data meets consistent human execution on the floor. If this breakdown clarified your compliance strategy, hit the like button to signal to the algorithm that this is a high-value resource for safety professionals. Subscribe to the HSE Study channel to stay ahead of regulatory updates, and click the video on screen for our upcoming deep dive into electrical safety.